Welcome to Intuitive Seek. My name is Mary Treen, and every week I aim to bring you a grounded approach to all things intuition. Through personal stories, experiences, and practices, offering energetic reflections to help you discover, connect, and fully realize how your unique power of intuition is your own greatest teacher. Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to June 2022. Halfway through the year. Kind of incredible. I hope everybody is doing well. And yeah, it has been an interesting time for me personally, and I can imagine for you. And before I get into the energy impressions for June, I wanted to kind of mention what I've been kind of witnessing in my client sessions, and then for myself too, something pretty simple, but I feel like it's really worth mentioning, that so often we can forget to add a little bit of fun into our lives. I feel like if you are a creative or, an intuitive seeker, a soul, heart-led entrepreneur, like if you are really working with yourself and your own energy, trying to create and live your life in the way that feels the best for you, it can look like and feel like a grind sometimes. Even scheduling in self-care, meditating, writing in your journal, connecting to your intuition, really figuring out what that means for you, listening to podcasts, reading books, all the things. There's so much kind of work that we can put into this sphere of kind of self-development. And what I have been feeling quite called to speak to more, and for myself too, is to remember that this is about our life, our full life. So any kind of healing is about bringing all of those aspects of ourselves into wholeness, meaning that we see them and we understand ourselves from a whole perspective, not just individual parts. And what can happen that I've seen and experienced myself for sure is that when it's kind of up to you and you've decided to make changes in your life in all different aspects, sometimes we can get kind of focused on doing it correctly, doing it the right way. Am I meditating the right way? Am I meditating enough? Am I creating enough? Am I doing enough to propel myself forward into what I desire, what my heart is calling me to do? And because, we're human, this is very normal to totally kind of forget about the intention behind all of this development, all of this seeking, all of this change and transformation to fulfill our purpose. We can forget what the intention is. What is your intention? And there can be so many different intentions, but for example, like my intention in my work and in my life is always to be, and I don't always meet it, but my intention is to be as honest and as thoughtful and heart-centered as I can, as truthful to myself, so that I can be coming from the grounded, real place of alignment. Like that's what alignment really means to me. That if we are doing exactly what is authentic to us. So in our choices, in how we speak, in what we create, and what we want to do, in changes we make, that it's always coming from an authentic place. That to me always feels like alignment. But the only way to really get into that authentic space is with practice, with knowing how our intuition speaks to us, with recognizing how it feels. To know when you're saying yes to something because it will make the other person happy or it's what they want, rather than if you truly want to do it. And that's a small, example, but I feel like it's quite a universal way to look at it. Because if you are listening to this podcast, you are quite intuitive, I'm assuming. You are probably quite empathetic. You most likely are quite a nurturer. You have a lot of heart in what you do and what you say and what you want. And you have probably compromised your needs and what you want for the quote unquote better of all, good of all. Maybe it is people pleasing, but I think there are so many different aspects of that. And it's not just about people pleasing, because when you aren't coming from your authentic place, making decisions, answering questions, all of those things, and you are doing something, you say yes, just like I was saying, you say yes to something that is traditionally because you really just want to please the other person. In a way, it's actually pleasing you too, because it can be hard to do what we want to do. It can be hard to make your authentic decision. And I have talked about this before, but it's one of like the greatest lessons that, and I think Brené Brown said it, they said it on an interview with Oprah, that if you make brave choices, brave decisions, meaning based on what you really want or need, then you have to be prepared to disappoint some people. You have to be prepared that not everyone is going to be happy with you. And that is very scary to our energy, to our system, our nervous system, because it can feel like rejection. And it can feel like a real rejection, because if you're being authentic to yourself with what you want to do, that's you. That is all you. And if somebody isn't happy with that, that can feel like they are rejecting who you are completely. And that can feel really unsafe. That can make our nervous system kind of run into that fight or flight. And that's why developing, connecting, understanding your own energy, your unique energy, how your intuition speaks to you, because it's going to be different for everyone. But you can find that safety within yourself. But I think that and feel that it's so important to forgive yourself for any time that you've kind of betrayed your authenticity, betrayed yourself, gone along with somebody else because it would make them happy. Because you were really, in the grand scheme, energetically, you were trying to keep yourself safe. And that is a good thing. And recently, I've really heard quite a few people express regret over how they used to live and how they used to walk through the world, how they used to make their choices, And I've heard it said like this, how they allowed their light to be dimmed, how they, went along with something when they knew it wasn't right for them. And I will say, I for sure have those regrets too. But I really feel like one of the lessons that I, am meant to learn in this lifetime is that life is a lesson. Like Earth School, people have said it. But truly, like every step you take in front of you is going to inform the next step in some way or another. So that's why connecting to yourself, your intuition, is so valuable, because then you have trust. You have built beautiful trust in yourself. So then you have an innate safety inside of you. So and this will happen because this is just normal. When you veer away from your authenticity, from making that correct choice for yourself based on what you really need, when you veer off, it's okay, because you know that you have the muscle, you've practiced. So you can get back into alignment with yourself. And then you can forgive yourself because you know it's just part of life, part of another lesson, another jewel in your crown, another brick in the road, whatever metaphor you want. But it's a roundabout way of saying we have to also have fun. There has to be fun stepping forward. If we're constantly being taught a lesson in our lives, shouldn't we also balance that out with some joy, with some lightness, with a bit of absurdity? There's so much heaviness and tragedy that has always been going on in the world. And it feels a little bit more heightened recently, for sure. Some terrible things have happened. But we're also connected so deeply. And not in an energetic way, not in a metaphysical way, but in a literal way. Like we're all so connected through social media, through all media. And sometimes we can feel like it might be the right thing to do, to pay attention and be super informed on all of the tragedy. But I invite you to look at what your intention is behind being so at the forefront of all of that intense news. Because if your intention is to be informed and to help because now you know more, so you can do more, if that feels like a good intention, I'm not going to tell you if it's good because it's not up to me. But for me, that's would be a good intention for me. If I looked at, okay, why am I looking at this? Why am I trying to find out more and more information about it? Oh, because I want to be informed. I want to know, exactly what is happening and how I can help in my small ways. But maybe if you check in with your intuition and you realize, oh, my intention may actually be to soothe myself a bit. And that might sound weird because it can be quite distressing staying up to date on all the tragedy. But an out of alignment, out of authenticity intention could be that you don't realize that you are trying to make yourself feel like you are good and that you're a good person and that you're not just turning a blind eye. If your intention is for what other people will see, that's not a very good intention. Because you're working, in my opinion, because you're working from the outside in. And the only way to be able to have a balanced, beautiful life, living with intention, with your authenticity, living that beautiful, intuitive-led life, the only way to do that is from the inside out. And I believe that as long as you are coming from an authentic place, from intentions that feel really good to you, then the ripple effect, the impact of your actions are exponential. They can reach a much broader space than when we are doing something, acting on something that is not actually true to us. It's like skipping the heaviest rock on the water. It just like sinks right into the bottom. But if you are coming from your authentic, beautiful, aligned, unique energy, then that rock can kind of skip along as far as it can go. And that actually reminds me of when people ask me about starting a podcast and they say, oh, I really want to start one. Most of the time, if I don't know them very well, then I've said, why do you want to? It is a question, instead of just, well, what are your intentions? It's a little bit lighter. Why do you want to? And I actually feel like because I want to is 1,000% a valid, beautiful answer. Because I want to means to me that you feel really called to. And that was my experience. I felt so called to start one, to start this, because I wanted in some kind of odd time travel-y way, I wanted to make something that I would have loved to listen to 5 years ago, where a lot of the podcasts that I found on spirituality, on our intuition, developing our intuition, they weren't very grounded. They had a lot of ideas and very specific beliefs that didn't make a lot of sense to me. Because when we're thinking of our own spirit, seeking our own intuition, it's not a religion. It's not about taking on somebody else's beliefs because they seem to be true. It's not swapping out, your Catholic upbringing for a new, pagan ritual. Because to me, those are the same energies. I mean, it's fine if that's what you want and that's what feels good. But the idea, my idea, was how can I help people listen to themselves? How can I help people see themselves so clearly that they realize, oh yeah, everything that I'm searching for, every decision that I want to make, every path I want to go down, every desire that I have that is really meant to become realized, and how to. It's all inside. It's all inside of us. Like it's already there. It's inside and also kind of, orbiting around our energy. It's part of our being. It's what people feel when you walk into a room. And being able to receive that yourself too, finally be able to see it, that's when you realize, oh, right, I've been living in my purpose and other people have been enjoying it, but I have been totally clouded to it. So I haven't been expressing it in a way that feels good to me or authentic. And I will say maybe there is evidence that I have where I can share that because I started this podcast from a true authentic place, because I had done so much work making sure that I could listen to my intuition fully to know whether it is truly something that I want, not just because it sounds good or will look good or it's what other people want or seems like the right thing to do. It's what I wanted to do. And sidebar, I know that it's usually something that I need to do and want to do and is important for me to do when it takes me a really long time to finally just do it. It does. So for the podcast, it took I planned it, recorded November 2020. It didn't actually go live until April 2021. Almost end of April. So just a little caveat on that if you do feel like you are doing something with proper, full intentions to you, authentic to you, and it doesn't all come together right away, or it's not received really beautiful right away, that doesn't mean that it wasn't correct. Because things take time sometimes. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's super fast for some. But for some, it takes time. And I didn't have full intentions of reaching as many people as I reach with this podcast. I didn't think for even a millisecond that my podcast would be on the iTunes charts or the Apple Podcast charts, they're called now. But then they are in Canada and in Australia. And that is wild to me. But that can show me and hopefully help you to see that sometimes when you do something because it's true to you, then the things that happen after that, the impact, the after effects, the ripple effects, can reach much farther than you had ever imagined. And that was my experience. And that is actually why I am working on a podcast masterclass, an intuitive podcasting masterclass, because so many people ask me about it, about starting one, and I've learned so much from doing it, so I do feel called to teach it. So yes, please join my mailing list. You can find the link in my show notes because I will definitely be giving a discounted price to the listeners of Intuitive Seek and to the people on my newsletter mailing list. So yes. Okay, so wow, that actually felt like almost kind of a mid-year energy check-in. And now let's talk about the energy impressions for June. Hopefully this will help you navigate the month a little bit. I really felt into some intuitive questions to ask yourself. And yeah, I really feel like this is quite a pivotal month of the year, that all of the months prior, those 5 months that we've just lived through, they have created some rich soil for us to stand on. And that's what I really felt in my meditation, that while I was tuning into it, I was feeling new earth, but in a real literal way, like in that fresh, fertilized soil. But it has been the past 5 months of this year, the ebbs and flows, the trials and tribulations, the challenges, the changes, the things that have really been a bit upending to some of us. That all of those experiences have created this fertile new ground for us to take action, to truly begin taking action on what our hearts are calling for us to do. That this year has led up to this moment, this halfway point, where you can look back on the last 2 years and realize, wow, so much has happened. But then if you just look back to January, it may feel just as long as 2 years because of all the things that have happened, all the shakeups, all the unexpected things that have brought us to this moment, to this time in our lives, this time of this year, where it feels like maybe we could breathe a little bit more. Maybe it feels a little bit more safe to take action on what our hearts are calling us to do. Maybe we are feeling more confident in our ability to follow through with what we want to do and what we want to create. Maybe it actually feels tangible to bring all of those ideas and inspirations that the last 5 months and 2 years and 5 months have informed. It feels like this month is really showing us that we have to remember that we can commit to anything that we want to do if we're passionate about it. That when you feel passionate about something, it's not an accident. When you feel like you have a really great idea, when you can kind of see it fully in your mind's eye, that is not an accident. So, how can you be your own leader? How can you be your own guide? How can you be your own coach? How can you be your own cheerleader? How can you be everything you need so that you can finally start moving on the things that make you light up? Because all of those passions that you have, they're all expressions of your unique purpose, of your soul's purpose. It doesn't matter if you ask 100 people if you should do whatever you want to do or create or make. If they all say no, if you feel passionate about it, then that's a big yes. That's a yes that outcalls all the no's. So this month it feels like, what do I really want to do? Because I feel like we have some rich ground to really bring and grow all of those seeds that have been planted. Like when you have a desire to do something, that seed has already been created. And then all of the experiences that we had, especially over the past 5 months, those are nurturing what you really desire to do. Whether it seems obvious or not, that is the energy of it from what I've seen. And because our ground is so fertile now, we can actually release some of our control over how it's going to happen, what will happen, how what we start to take action on, what the outcome will be. We can trust in our experience. We can trust in our own passion, that own beautiful fire that we each have. It's time to really trust that and release any kind of rigid control, clutching on exactly how it will look and be and how it will be received and what will happen. Isn't it time to finally take action on the things that you really want to do? From the smallest little thing to the biggest thing. You know what I'm talking about. You know what your passions are. Because if you're passionate about it, it is meant for you to do. But what is not meant for us is to know the future of it. Because each moment that we take action, each step we take informs the next. That's our free will. And when we really feel paralyzed from starting on acting on the things we want to do, because we are so unsure of what the future will hold, that's when we can become frozen in doubt. And the only thing that will propel us forward is our trust in ourselves, and trust in our intuition, trusting that we're feeling the call to do something, that that desire is being fueled by our passions, fueled by our purpose, fueled by our hearts. So a few intuitive questions to ask yourself to help you get more clarity could be, how have your experiences, how has your life over the last 5 months enriched the ground you stand on now? Have you allowed your passions to propel you? Can you see that that may have happened? Or have you been kept in a bit of a frozen state, not being able to act? Can you see that maybe happening? And can you allow yourself to stoke the fire of your passion again, to realize how it can propel you this month? And then another thing is to really look at the past 5 months and see where you were supported, how you received support that maybe you were surprised by. Was there unexpected support? And if you're able to see that, how can you offer support to somebody in your life that may be unexpected, unasked for, but that could be very helpful? You know, we started at the beginning of this episode talking about adding a little bit more joy into your life. And I know 100%, with 100% certainty, very, very few things in my life are 100% certainty, but I know this for sure, that when I have the intention of bringing joy, lightness, happiness to somebody else, then I also receive that joy. It's kind of a guaranteed way of bringing more lightness and joy into your life, is by offering it to somebody else. So how can you do that with all of this fertile ground that you have deserved and accrued because of your own life? How can you use it to help others in that simple way? But the reason I'm saying how can you use it to help others, meaning how can you use your own passion, your own desires to impact other people in a positive way? You know, what is really ready to be nurtured and supported by this new vantage point that you have earned? What do you want to do? That's what this month feels like. That it's finally time to really do it. And I can't wait to see it. Because I know if it is fueled by your passion, that means it's coming from your heart, and that it will help and serve the world. Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Intuitive Seek. Please reach out to me with any questions, or if you wanted to share anything that may have come up for you during this episode, you can follow me and message me on my Instagram at Treenlight, TREENLIGHT, or you can check out my website, treenlight.com. All the links are in my show notes, so easy to find. Thank you so much for all of your support. Be kind to yourself, and I will talk to you soon.
Hi, Auntie Mary. I just wanted to say something very, very meaningful. Cat.